What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here, and we have a fun one for you today. We are currently behind closed doors at the PSA booth, and we have hands-on with the new prototype, I should say prototype, PSA comic book holder. I can tell you, holding this thing in hand, first thing, feels extremely premium. It is very heavy. I know Swags and Manu, when we were on the live stream, they've already had it in their hand, that they had mentioned the weight being a big thing, and it does feel heavy. It is a premium feeling experience. Decent size thickness. It feels a little larger than a CGC holder, a regular CGC holder. It feels like it might be a little bit wider. I don't have one to compare it against. You get good look at the label there. Label looks a little better in person. I still feel like I would like this number a little bit bigger, but nice seals around the side. Like, you're not getting in this thing very easy the way that it is sonically sealed. And I know, sorry for the glare, everybody, but the PSA holders for cards are ridiculously hard to crack open, and it's almost impossible to open one and tell that it hasn't been opened up. And this feels even like more of a fortress than that thing does. You could really do some, I was joking, you could really do some damage with this thing if you swung it at somebody. This definitely feels like a very premium holder. Now, I know, there's been some criticisms of the label and stuff since it came out. And like I said, I'm not like in love with it, but PSA is not going to want to get rid of their branding. I can tell you that right now. I would like to see this number get a little bit bigger, and this is one of the Kith books that they're giving out at San Diego Comic-Con this week. So overall, really, really nice holder. Definitely feels very premium in hand. I know I keep saying that, but that's what really jumps out at me. There's some of the anti-theft stuff that they have on the back, and what I mean by that is like anti-counterfeit, I should say. They put all sorts of holographic stuff in the label. That's part of what the PSA Lighthouse label is for as well. But very, very nice holder. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of other footage of it, but this thing looks great. It really does feel good in hand. And like I said, this is a prototype, so if you boys and girls have feedback for them, put it in the comments down below. I'm sure they'll be looking at it, but definitely feels good in hand. So just a few other little notes here on the slab. You can see this like insert almost that's inside it that the book is sitting in. I guess the way it was described to me is that these can be swapped out depending on the size of the book. So if you have something a little larger or a little smaller, that you would be able to use a different insert to accommodate that. So that's why that's kind of like their inner well, I guess, for lack of a better term. Almost kind of like, I compared it to like an SGC sports card slab, where they have that black insert that they could kind of tailor to whatever the card is that's going inside it. And this gives me similar vibes to that. So it holds the book in place really well. Like, you're not shifting this thing around much in the holder. I noticed that a lot on some of my CGC slabs, that they get mailed to you and they shift left to right or sometimes up to down. There's a little bit of play in this, top to bottom, but left to right, it feels like it's in there fairly snug. You can see there's, up on this side, it's pretty tight up against that inner well. And then on the right side, there's a little bit of a gap, but nowhere near as much as you're used to on a CGC slab. That's one thing that kind of stood out to me when I was looking at it. And I saw some criticisms of the frosted look on the slab. I actually, seeing it in hand, it kind of makes the book pop, like, versus having the clear case. It almost makes the book kind of pop out of the slab a little bit. So I was a little mixed on that, seeing just a photo of it, but actually seeing it in person, I think the frosted look is kind of growing on me, but I'm also used to it from their sports cards for quite a bit. The PSA Lighthouse, in my opinion, is a little large. And what I'm talking about when I refer to PSA Lighthouse, that's this. That's kind of like their main claim to fame. It's also a big security feature, the way I understand it, with their label for anti-counterfeit tech. But to me, it does take the eye away from things a little bit. Like your eye gets drawn to that slightly. They're not going to get rid of that, I know that, but maybe shrink that box down a little bit, make it a little tighter around the PSA label. My only other big critique of a label that is something that could probably reasonably changed is maybe increase the size of the numerical grade. Now, this is AU authentic because this is promo for the Kith booth at San Diego Comic-Con, but I wouldn't mind seeing that get blown up a little bit bigger, maybe even move some stuff around, maybe bold some of the text so the text pops out just a little bit more. There is a little bit, and it's really hard to see this even in person, there is some slight blue on the background of the white of that label. You can kind of see the PSA logo there in the back, very faint. Once again, that is anti-counterfeit stuff that they put inside the label. There's all sorts of crazy technology in PSA labels, but there is a little hint of blue in there. It's very hard to see. It really, I mean, if you pull the book away at all, it basically just looks white, but when you do pull it up closer, you can see that. You would never notice that from the wall. And then at the top of the book, you have the little lighthouse and the book number, just like you do on a CGC case. So if you had them in a long box and you were flipping through, you have that on there. And then we have the QR code on the back that you could scan, and the QR code on PSA labels will take you straight to their population report and bring that up, at least on cards. I assume this is the same. And then once again, as I stated earlier, we have more anti-counterfeiting tech on the back of that holographic PSA label. That is not holographic on the front, just on the back. And then there's the cert number there on the back, what the issue is and stuff. That information's on the back as well. So overall, in hand, I am pretty impressed. I think if this is indeed a little bit larger, I'm a little concerned about that, just to be, a little critical. I am also, the weight, I could see it going both ways. If you had an AF-15 in this thing, it would feel very secure. Or like my X-Men 1 I'd feel very secure having a high-grade book in this. I would not want to lug it around in a backpack, or at least not a lot of them, that's for sure. But overall, really, really nice looking slab. Like I said, the book does pop out nice. Feels very sturdy. You're not cracking these things open and doing a book swap like happened with the CGC stuff. We'll see what happens. And like I said, this all is prototype. Things can switch up a little bit, but this is the Gen 1, at least, for human eyes to see. And I am definitely more impressed with it having hands-on than I was just looking at photos of it, that's for sure. Yeah, the label's a little PSA. It's a PSA label. It is what it is. You're either going to be fine with it or you're going to hate it. But the slab itself feels like a fortress. This thing is built like Fort Knox. So, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. Make sure you fire them away because you never know who might see them. Catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.